Moving on to debris, I'm just going to change this name because we're not just importing here, so I'll just call it cars as we're importing and simulating in there. Okay, looks like it's trying to cook stuff there. Just press escape. Right, and I'm going to drop another geo and call this debris. Okay, dive in there. Let's object merge that simulation, so the actual road. Let me get rid of that, turn that visualization off. So we need to bring in this null here. Okay, I'm just going to press escape as that's trying to kind of visualize there. We need to come down here, so we're just going to grab this. Maybe I could just copy that, oops, and paste it in here. Okay, this does take a bit of time to play through. It's not too bad there, but we do have to unpack it to, you know, because we're going to be emitting from the edges of these bits of road, right? We can delete that straight away. So just isolate the road. We do that on the points, and that name is road. That should work for us. And then deletes non-selected, so that should go a bit faster. Okay, and then we do have to unpack this, so let's see how fast that goes. So what I might do is just show the process with some other geometry to make it go a bit faster. It's not too bad. Well, I'll tell you what we could do is just delete a part in the middle. So let's come here, and then I want to see, well, let's just, you don't have to do this. I'm just doing it for the purpose of demonstration. Okay, delete non-selected there. So that way we've got something going a bit faster. There we are. Okay, and it breaks there. So, and then maybe I'll time shift it forward. So obviously the goal of this is to emit from these parts when the road breaks, right? So that's important. So obviously, you know, that geometry is still there now, these cracks, but we don't want it emitting until kind of this point, okay, until they come apart and, you know, there's space for the debris to fall out. So to do that, there's a really handy node called the debris source, and this is an actual simulation. You can see we've got reset simulation and in there. So, you know, if you dive inside, you'll find a DOP node. So be careful, you know, I'm not going to plug it in on frame 56 because it's going to try to process up to that point. So I'm going to go back to the start. So what this does is basically look at geometry, which is really close to each other. Look at these faces, I believe, or actually the points, and look at points which are near to each other, but on different pieces. Okay, and then whenever those points get separated, so later on into the simulation, it will scatter points onto the surface of those pieces for a predetermined length of times. Okay, so those points will be on there, and then after a second they will disappear, they will die essentially. Okay, so let's see if that works. So here we're scattering 10,000 points. I think the number works, so 10,000 points onto the whole geometry, so everything that we've got here, right? So that will change based on, you know, how much geometry is coming into it. If we just have the one little piece, then you can have 10,000 on one little piece. But if you've got a big piece, then, you know, they're going to be more spread out. It's not a kind of density value, this, right? So let's see if that works. So let's just play from there. Maybe we'll template that to see when they start to come apart. Okay, so now, there we go. So we got 1 point, a couple of points there, not many. But you can see them just kind of starting to come out. There we go. So you can see that working. So now the idea would be you would use these points to emit particles from into your pop simulation. Okay, so well, we can just make quickly a pop sim. So pop network. That's just a handy kind of shortcut to build a very basic pop simulation. Okay, and what we need to change here is that we're not going to scatter onto the surface of points. We're going to be using all points. All right. So any point coming into the simulation will emit point. Okay, and it's coming into the first context. That's fine. And then in here, yeah, so we don't need to change anything there either. We'll probably add some variety to this later, but just for the moment, let's add gravity so we can actually see the point. Otherwise, they'll just follow. Well, they'll just stay in place. Actually, they won't move. Let's get rid of that. So we should see them now, just kind of falling from the pieces. There we go. So obviously it doesn't look great right now. We've got kind of weird graphic looking dotty lines coming down, but that's the principle of it. Okay,